Hello and welcome to the Hypnosis Side Hustle Show. My name is Rick Paddock. I'm your host. In today's episode, I'm excited to have Rob de Groof. I hope I got it right, Rob.
Sounds quite right.
Thank you. Rob is a instructor, a trainer. He's the founder of the European Hypnosis Academy, also the Hypnosis Center in Belgium. And we're going to talk all things hypnosis, creating a hypnosis business. So Rob, welcome.
Hello.
Hello. Thanks for being here. I'm excited. We've chatted via email a few times. I'm excited to chat with you. I see your stuff come through cyberspace. I love it all. So I'm excited to jump into all things hypnosis. So let's see, where should we start? You know, as we talked before we click record, there's so much to talk about. There's so much we're excited about, the skills that go into building a hypnosis business. But more than that, there's that foundation, as we were chatting before we clicked record, about confidence. Do you have any insights, experience? Because I know you've been training new hypnotists and seasoned hypnotists for years about finding that ability to just be confident in your approach, you know, and making it your own.
Yeah, for me, it's really important. I always say to the students, you can't learn hypnosis by just doing trainings or reading a lot of books. You have to go out there and hypnotize people. So that's really important. I always encourage my students to start right away. The moment when they finish our like 7-day training, well, then they are ready to help clients. Whenever we're speaking about change work or hypnotherapy, just see clients. When you don't have clients right away, just start with friends, with relatives. I know they are not the easiest one to hypnotize, your own relatives, of course, because they don't see you as the hypnotist.
Yep.
The moment that you have some friends or the moment you have one success story, you will get referrals. So just start as quick as possible. Don't wait. And that's one of the problems here in Belgium, because the Belgians are quite laid back. They just they do a training and then they start thinking, maybe I can do another training and then I'm ready to start. And let's do another one. And that technique. If I have that technique, then I start. But a lot of them, they never start. And then of course then there are weeks or months in between. They hypnotize somebody. So the only people that they actually hypnotize is in the training room. And you know, hypnotizing hypnotists, yeah, they are quite some easy guys to hypnotize. Some are difficult, but most of them they go easy in hypnosis, and then they start working with real people. I always say in my 7-day training at Sunday, the last day of the training, I invite real people. I invite real clients. So during the 7-day training, I'm always talking about, remind yourself on Sunday, you have to hypnotize a real human being. And they say, and then I always say, you're not real human beings anymore, you're hypnotists now. So that's something totally different. So then on Sunday, I invite people. I just do an announcement on Facebook, and I said, okay, free sessions with new graduate hypnotherapist. Of course, I select a bit the issues. I don't have the big trauma things, and I don't select those ones. Stop smoking, weight loss, anxieties, phobias, things like that, allergies. And then they can work with somebody they don't know, somebody who has not been in the training room for 7 days. And a lot of those students, they have good results with the clients, with the clients that we just invited for that day. So I always give them the I say, okay, it's your client, so take his details, send him an email after 3 weeks to see what changes did occur. So then they get this boost of confidence when they see that the client actually has results. And that's something that for me is really important, that they hypnotize a real human being before they leave my school. So, and then I encourage them to start right away. And a lot of them, they are doing it, but a lot of them, they just don't hypnotize, and they start going from training to another training. And for me, the only thing to learn hypnosis is just by doing it. So that's one of the reasons I also teach an out of the blue hypnosis training. It's more like going out there doing street hypnosis, because that's the way how I learned it. So for me, hypnosis was actually only a thing that I wanted to learn to use in my entertainment business, because I've been an entertainer for 20 years and never had the intention to become a therapist. So it changed a bit. I just learned hypnosis to do on the streets and on stage. But at that time, I was already convinced of the fact that you can't become a good hypnotist without hypnotizing people. So for myself, I decided maybe I have to do some therapy, because in Belgium, we have a few problems in Belgium about stage hypnosis. The first problem, it's illegal, so we can't do it actually, but we're still doing it. Huh. But the other problem is it's a country with different languages. So half of the Belgium is speaking Dutch, like 60% is speaking Dutch, 40% is speaking French. And in that part is also a little part that's speaking German. But the problem is you can't do a lot of corporate gigs here, because most of the companies, they have people from the French-speaking part who doesn't understand Dutch, people from the Dutch-speaking part. So, or you have to do it in English, but then you have a problem with the French speakers. So there's not a big market for stage hypnosis in Belgium. So I was wondering, if I just keep my focus on stage hypnosis, I'm not going to hypnotize enough to become a good hypnotist. So I decided to, maybe I can do some hypnotherapy as well. And then all of a sudden, I just started doing it. And I told my wife and my secretary at the moment, let's create a little website, and maybe I will have like 2 or 3 clients a week. And like 3 months later, I had a full-time hypnotherapy business. So I was when we were in Daytona Beach, we were having dinner with a lot of with the Elmans and Sean Michael Andrews and Sheila Granger. And we were talking about what I did in Belgium, and Sheila called it, you disrupted the market in Belgium, because what I did, I came with something new on the hypnotherapy market in Belgium, because most of the therapists were working with this very long inductions, more like relaxation therapy. I called it real hypnosis, 1 session, and most of those therapists at that time, they were working like 5 or 6 sessions, even for like stop smoking. So I came with something totally new on the Belgian market, and all of a sudden I had a full-time business. So now I'm not doing entertainment anymore. Only when they really ask me to do a hypnosis show, I will do one under my terms then. But now I'm totally 100% focused on the hypnotherapy business and of course the teaching.
I love it. Well, one of the things I love about this, nowadays that you're in Belgium and I'm in the United States, and our viewers are all over the world. We get different perspectives, and like that, the fact that stage hypnosis is, illegal or outlawed in the different languages, and the fact that you came in and got a full-time business going, it's so cool. It's fascinating. You said a couple things that I really like. Great, I guess, awarenesses and advice for new hypnotists, people coming into it. And that's that you got to practice, you got to get out there, including and perhaps especially with, as you said, real people, not family and friends. There is that fine line. And I see it with my students, and I will say it's not just Belgium, that in the US, there's the reluctance to get out, and there's whether it's laid back or whatever. But to do it, great advice, do it right away. And there's that fine line, having the awareness and maybe the pre-frame. All right, even if you need to do it with family and friends, know that they're going to be the most difficult, but it's still good practice.
Yeah.
Make mistakes, get feedback, because that's the key, is the feedback, even if it's difficult feedback.
Yeah, of course. I always say to my students, even if you don't have anybody to hypnotize, just practice. Just put a chair, put a teddy bear there, or goldfish, and just pretend as if there's a client. I did it for myself when I started traveling the world and teaching in English, because of course I do my sessions here in Belgium in Dutch language. But when I go abroad and I have to teach in English, I also have to demonstrate in English. So, and for me, it's because of the way that I hypnotize, it's really important that I don't have to think about the words, that I just, because it's, my sessions are really short. It's like 10 minutes, 12 minutes, power session. So what I was doing, I was just walking with my dog and just talking out loud in English, just doing a session with a client who wasn't there, of course, just to practice the way of, because the expressions are sometimes different in English than in Dutch. I think English is a more easier language to hypnotize than Dutch, because sometimes we need a full sentence to say something that you can say in English in like 2 words.
Huh.
But I had to just in my mind, I had to create the way that I was working in English. So, and that's something that you can do in when you're a starter as well, so that the moment that you see the first client, that you're ready, that you don't have to think about it, that you're confident, because you can't be confident, you can't be congruent if everything that you're doing is not second nature. It's the same with inductions. On Sunday, I will teach a workshop on fast and powerful inductions. And for me, it's really important that you handle that induction really good, because people ask me quite often, what is the best induction that you can use? There is no best induction, because everybody is different. For me, my first induction to go to is always an 8-word and hand drop induction. So that's the induction that I like, but it's not suitable for everybody. So I always say, just practice an induction and just have like 5 or 6 inductions in your toolbox. So for all different types of clients, if somebody has a whiplash, you can't do a shock induction, use something else. But be sure that those inductions are second nature, that you don't have to think about these inductions. And now we are talking about inductions. A good tip that I can give hypnotists out there, the moment you want to learn fast and powerful inductions, and then you need to practice them. But you can practice them with your clients. It's really easy to practice them with your clients without the client knowing that you're practicing. For me, the best way to practice an induction is just use your induction that you're familiar with, do your session, and in the middle of the session, do some fractionation. And the moment that you say open your eyes, and then of course you say sleep, and then like the 3rd time, instead of saying sleep, you do the induction that you want to practice. Yep. And even if the induction is not good, even if the handling is not fluent, there's no worries, because the anchor is already set. At the moment you say sleep, your client go back into hypnosis and goes deeper. So then you can practice your induction, you can practice the handling until it becomes second nature, and then you can start using it with the client as the formal induction. And that's something that you need to do. You need to be confident about the things that you're doing, because when you're not confident, the clients will sense it, the subconscious mind of the client will sense it, and there will the success rate of your sessions will go down because of the fact that you're not confident. And that's really, confidence it's one of the most important things of a hypnotherapist, of course.
Absolutely. I love that, and so people will ask, well, I'm new, there's a catch-22. I can't get success. I can't be confident until I have success. I can't have success until I'm confident. And you gave the key. It's just about practice. It's about repetition, whether it's with a real person, family or friend, the dog, the stuffed animal. The thing that I did when I started is I recorded myself. I recorded those 3, 4, 5. And I'd say it out loud and I'd listen. So if I'm on the treadmill or if I'm driving my car, I hear myself. And even if I'm thinking about something else, it's going in there. And there's that repetition. I love your kind of stacking inductions recommendation, the fractionation. Get them where you want, bring them up, bring them down, slip in a new one that you've been listening to, you've been practicing, and suddenly I've got that one down.
Yeah. And then by doing that, you familiarize yourself with the induction. You will adapt it to your way, because a lot of the things that I see students, they are just copying their trainer, but that's not what they need to do. They need to understand what the induction is about, what the protocol is about, what the therapy system is about, whatever, and just make it your own. And that's really important. And then my mentor was Jeffrey Stevens. That's the protocol I use most when I do therapy. When you see a video of a session performed by myself or one performed by Jeffrey, you see that the structure is the same, but we are two different kind of therapists. So there are some things that are different. And also when you see my other therapists in my center, I have 6 therapists working for me. They work all with the same systems. They use the same protocols. One of the other things that we use in our center is the virtual gastric band. We also have 2 therapists using All Pain to Go. We have 2 people using Simpson protocol, but they all do it on their own way. And that's really important, because when you start just copying somebody, you can't be congruent. You're just a little bit off something. So just take all these techniques and make it your own, and then you're congruent and you're confident, and then your client will feel it. And in the mind of the client, they will believe that you can help them, and that's 85% of whatever you need. And then the technique that you're going to use is not that important anymore. It's a confidence that it's really doing the trick.
Yeah, I love that. In many ways, and for a lot of us who have been in doing this for a while, whether we've, like myself, probably like you, taken a lot of training and then also done training, it's you learn the skills, you model, you make it your own. So it's like there's a little bit of a experimentation of trying, but throughout the process, it comes back to not being the technique. You want to continue to learn new things, to have new awarenesses, to try new things. But then it comes back to making it your own and finding a comfort level, and that comfort and confidence, you're right, is the 80, 90, whatever, 70, 95%, you know, and that's not to say that the skills and the techniques aren't valuable, because they are, but you tweak it, you make it your own, and then you bring it back down. And when there's that comfort, that confidence, the knowing, that's when the clients flip and change so quickly, as you mentioned.
Of course. That's what you need. You need to have a structure to build your sessions around, so you know in your mind what you're going to do. And then, of course, you have to adapt to what type of client, what type of issue, and then you can open your toolbox and use whatever that you want in your own way, and then you're good to go. When you, I have this story about I never used scripts, but I know a lot of people are still using scripts. But in the beginning, I was still working here at home, and I had this referral from a lady. She came here like months before for weight loss, and she came for another issue. And she said, "Yeah, I have this colleague at work, and he wants to quit smoking, but he's French speaking. But can you help him?" I say, "Yeah, but I can't hypnotize in French. I can speak French. I can understand French, but I can't hypnotize in French, because again, it's not in my system. It's not second nature, and then it's not going to work." So, but then she said, "Yeah, but his understanding of the Dutch language is quite good." So I said, "Yeah, there's no problem. So I can use my own language. He understands it, so that's going to work." And she says, "Yeah, so quit smoking is the issue." So the guy came. And the moment he started talking, I said, "Oh yeah, you're the guy that was referred by this lady." I said, "Yeah, you were here for stop smoking." And then he says, "Yeah, I want to quit smoking, but I also have this sexual problem." So he had the sexual dysfunction. And at that time, for me, there were 2 things that was good. For me, it was the proof that you can't work with scripts, because I always tell my students, whatever, if I had that stop smoking script ready, not going to work for his sexual dysfunction. So then I was in trouble. So now I wasn't in trouble. And the other good thing was, for me, it was out of the blue that he started talking about a sexual dysfunction. It was my very first client talking about the sexual dysfunction. But I was quite sure if this was in my schedule for like 3 weeks ago, I was probably start getting nervous about this, because I didn't at that time. I was like in therapy business for like 6 months. So my background is entertainment. So for me, now it was out of the blue. He just said, okay, I have this sexual dysfunction, and can you help me with that? I said, yeah, of course. And we start just chatting about the problem. I asked the questions that I need to ask to start my protocol. I did a session, and the result was great. But it's just out of the blue and that's good. But when you work with scripts, when everything has to be prepared, you can't do a client like this because they change their mind. They come to your office, they change their mind, they want to work with another issue, and then you say, okay, now I have to go and find my books and find the script for this. So no, and I think it's really important that you have a structure, that you have something that you just in your mind can create your session and just start working, and that's really important. And that's the confidence that you must have, because imagine that you are the client and there's this hypnotherapist that claims that he can help you, and then you say, yeah, but I'm not smoking, but I want to work on my sexual dysfunction. And then he said, okay, yeah, but now I have to go and search my books first or find my training manual and find. So then the confidence is gone, of course. Now I just said, okay, yeah, no problem, let's talk about this, and I did the session. And that's really important, that the client sees that you don't have to. Sometimes I have clients coming to my office and they start talking about a problem that I never heard of before. And they just talk, and I ask them questions, and then sometimes I even go to my office, I just go to Wikipedia and I say, oh, that's what they're talking about. So because sometimes they just give it a scientific name or whatever.
Yeah.
And then, but I actually don't need the explanation of the problem. I need to know what is going on. What is this creating for you, and what is the things that you want to get rid of, and what do you want instead? Yeah. And then you just start. And that's I think sometimes new hypnotherapists are a bit overthinking whatever problems that they're. One of the advices I sometimes give to my students, if you're like a bit afraid of all these different kind of problems, because people have so many different issues, so there's always a first time for something. I always tell them, if you're not ready for it, just start like with stop smoking and weight loss. Just concentrate yourself on 2 topics and become good in those 2 topics, because you can build an entire business on stop smoking and weight loss. Absolutely. So yeah, if you're known that you're the guy to go for weight loss, your schedule will be full. So if you don't want to be the therapist that's doing all those different issues and then being surprised sometimes, but I think in our center we had like 5 or 6 clients at this time who came to the office, and I had it once. A few of the colleagues had it themselves, and just somebody sitting down, and they say, okay, this is the last thing that I'm going to try. If you can't fix it, I'm gonna ask for euthanasia. So in Belgium, you can ask to die. You can plan your own death. So yeah,
wow,
that's giving some pressure on the therapist. So,
holy cow!
And we had 2 of the clients were so they were the one had cancer and it was stage 4, so we couldn't help her anymore. So she went on with the but the other one, the last one that I remember was not with me, but one of my therapists. She had the date planned. It was in the schedule. It was in the schedule of the hospital, and she canceled it.
Wow!
Because of the fact that the changes were there, her life was back to not to normal, of course, but it was better. She gained the interest in being alive again. So that was a great success. So, but those type of clients you will get, that's a pressure that sometimes clients are. So yeah, you're the last one I'm going to try, and if not, I'm going to die. Okay. So the first time that you hear it is like, whoa. So yeah,
that's crazy. Wow. Wow. Well, one of the things I like that you said is, to build your confidence up front and continue with that is to have an understanding of structure. You know, I like scripts. I believe in scripts. For me, scripts are learning tools, but
Yeah.
you don't want to rely on them. To your
No.
point, you don't want to rely on them. You don't want to
No.
have them. So what they're there, they're available before, after, they're floating in your mind, but you
No.
want to have a structure. And
No.
so I don't know if you can see it. I use a tablet.
Mhm.
And so I just do that. I draw two lines. On the left is what's happening now that you don't like. On the right is what would you rather have. So
Yeah.
you don't need to know
What is that?
yeah,
No.
anything about the issue. You know, like you said, there's some things you look up like trichotillomania. You know, that's a long
Mhm.
word. Oh, it's hair pulling. All right.
Yeah.
What don't you like about hair pulling? I'm going bald. I lost my eyebrow here. Okay, and what don't you like about that? It's embarrassing. What would you rather have? Full eyebrows, great hair, you know, peace, not stress. And there you know.
I think that's one of the a very good approach, because for me, one of the reasons that changes sometimes doesn't last is because we don't convince the subconscious mind enough about the benefits that the client will have. But when you start with asking this type of questions, you have your full list of benefits. You can convince the subconscious mind of making the changes. And the thing that you said about scripts is correct. Scripts are very good as a study material. I always say to my students, go and find some books with scripts in. The moment you have a client, read the script, find some pointers and use those pointers in your session. But don't start reading the script, of
Yeah,
course, with the client, because that's not gonna sound really congruent. So for me, scripts are like a source to find very good pointers, things to say, or ways to say it. And you say, okay, oh, that's a sentence that I can say, because sometimes you read a script and you say, ooh, I can't say this. This is not my style of talking.
yeah.
So then you have to adapt it. And that's a good way of using scripts. Just take out what's good for you.
I love it. Awesome. Rob de Groof, thank you so much for being here today and for all that you're sharing.
It's my pleasure.